Okay,
Go
we're ready
ahead,
now?
Dr.
Good,
Gadsden.
good.
Yes, sir.
All right, very good. Ro, how you doing?
I was saying earlier, I'm recouping.
Oh, dude, listen, that was a great performance, great production. And you did a marvelous job, a fantastic job. It was well done. The only thing I would say is that play would be 10 times better if you had a narrator. If it was fantastic as it was, but if you had a narrator kind of walking you through what's going on, I thought that would have been fantastic because I kind of figured, I mean, I think I knew most of the parts that were going on, but just everything that happened from bringing out this, like the ancestors that you had, the
Mhm.
mannequins, to just everything. It could have been someone just leading us through that whole piece.
See, now what I think
Wow.
would have been great if they would have had in the budget to pay more actors have been the ancestors actually being real people, real actors.
That would have been fantastic. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be, and yeah, that would have been really great. But yeah, even I know that I was talking to somebody when the students, they said the students liked it. They said, but they didn't always know exactly what was going on. That was their assessment. They said because some of that was, over their head
Yeah,
a little bit. But,
I think we had two student performances, one on the 9th and one on the 10th. And
hmm
study guide that accompanied that. There was a post-study guide or a pre-study guide and a post-study guide. And
hmm
I have really loved to have the kids because there was a talk back on both of those evenings. I would have loved to
hmm
have the kids have more of a dialogue of what they didn't understand.
Yeah. I agree. And even some of the adults, I'm not sure all the adults, especially some of the white adults, they were going out. I shouldn't say all of them. I heard a couple, and they were like, "Wow, it's a lot to unpack. I wasn't sure," and blah blah blah. But they
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. They said it was powerful, but they weren't really sure what everything was kind of leaning towards. And they were like, "I wasn't sure what they meant by, you know." And
Yeah,
I just listened to them. I didn't say anything.
I think there was some that, somehow could have used a further explanation, and it was funny because most of those poems, I think, black and brown people could relate to in one way or another.
hmm
But I think,
Yeah.
what I would do every evening I would sit in a different part of the audience, after the performance
hmm
started, I'd go up to the balcony and sit near the booth and I would sit and
hmm
watch the interactions with the audience and their take on it. And there was one evening where one of the cast members, her family had taken up the entire back row of the balcony. And they were,
hmm
well, first of all, they came to support the cast member, but they were everything that was being said, they seemed to resonate with. And they were just, because I had said in my introduction is that we wanted you to interact. We wanted
hmm
feedback, and they were giving us their feedback. And there was an older white lady who turned around and said, can you please be quiet? I want to hear the show. And this is hard to
hmm
like, I don't think she truly understood, everything that was going on and why, there were individuals in the audience who were, you know, very vocal about it.
But and I will say to you that I get very annoyed when people are very vocal. I mean, I know you understand it, you're enjoying
Yeah.
it, this kind of thing, but you got to understand it's theater, and you can't hear everything. And there was a guy in front of, well, I'll just say this: there was a guy who came with his family and entourage too, and he was really, kind of enjoying it. But he
Uh-huh.
had this thing of yawning, and he was just yawning very loud, and I don't know if the cast
Uh,
could hear that too. He just went out of nowhere, just
uh,
who
no, and
does that,
this
man?
was vocalization at an appropriate time. It wasn't as though they were talking during the play. It was,
hmm
a point when their family member first came out and they cheered for her coming out, and then they were quiet,
hmm
but I kind of felt like, they were there to be supportive, and they knew that
Yeah,
they
yeah.
wanted to just support. And when they first saw her, and that kind of annoyed
Mhm.
me because they were very respectful, and she just
And
continued
yeah,
to turn around and look at them oddly, which I
yeah,
didn't think was appropriate.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that, I agree with you. Yeah, some people just go too far, and and they, like you said, she didn't have to keep turning around and all that kind of stuff. I will say there's a difference. We make jokes about it. You go to a black theater, movie theater, whatever, and people talk back to the screen. I've
Mhm.
heard comedians do whole stand-up routines on that, and it's like, okay, I get it, and yeah, but yeah, theater is different. I mean, you just have to know that. people need to hear, and stuff are happening.
Yeah,
So you're not going to catch
yeah,
everything. Yeah,
yeah.
but it was really a great, great day. I was so glad we went. I wish we'd gone on Saturday because I know there were more people the whole bit, but Friday night was electric. It really was in terms of the audience, participating.
Yeah, and
But
there
it
was
was a
a
slam
different
dunk.
feel of the audience every night because um the first night, I think you've got a mixture more of individuals who were not, from a brown or black background, and they were very
Yeah.
subdued. And then as the performances went on, and the audiences changed, because that in my
Mhm.
director's notes, that's what I would share with the cast, is that
Mhm.
where they got laughs that they weren't expecting it, where to add things to it, and the performance continued to change as the nights went on. And remember the scene Clean where they were getting off of the slave ship?
Yeah.
That didn't
Mhm.
look like
Mhm.
that at the very beginning. It was not as
Mhm.
vocal as it was, as those performances, and the cast started to warm up to the audience, but
Yeah.
they also started to build more confidence in their own performance, which I thought was great.
I
Yeah.
remember going to see Dreamgirls, and Dreamgirls was excellent. And the first time I saw it in Harlem, New York, at the
Mhm.
Magic Johnson Theater, and it was like, wow, it was just absolutely electric. And when she sang that piece, I'm telling you, I'm not going. I mean, the audience
Mhm.
went berserk. And then the same thing when what's her name, Beyonce song the piece. She was singing to her husband and basically saying she was breaking away and getting her freedom, and she really nailed that piece as well. And the audience, I mean, people stood up and started clapping. One woman started howling back in the screen, and I'm thinking, but I went to see Dreamgirls a couple times, in fact. And the next time I went, it was no, I went three times because I remember I saw it,
Yeah.
and Kat and I saw it together. And then one day I was just coming, I said, I need to go. I love that movie. I went there, and it was an all white audience, and they were just sitting there. And I
Mhm.
remember thinking, okay, they might be late to it, or they just don't react. Maybe they really enjoyed it, but they don't, emote
Yeah.
like that.
It was
But
definitely a different
I thought,
audience
yeah,
feedback.
the the play was very, very good. I mean, it was just very, very good. And I remember thinking to myself, boy, if there was someone explaining every little thing, because there's a lot of nuances in there, and
Mhm.
just some real good surprises too. When they came out with that popcorn, that was fantastic. That was
Yeah.
just like they came out like they watching the movie. I said, go ahead,
Yeah,
real
and we
good
started
stuff. Yeah.
talking about certain parts in that poem that we wanted them to react to,
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
because it was a mention of like segregation, Jim Crow laws, those kinds of things. And we were like, okay, as Black men, we need you to react to these things and not just stand up there as fillers. So they
Yeah,
really,
yeah, it had to be. Yeah, and you weren't always sure what was going on. I mean, I'm old enough now to kind of live through most of that stuff. If I was
yeah,
25, 26, I'm not for sure I'd have gotten everything,
uh,
but yeah, it was good. It was very good.
yeah.
Very,
'Cause
very good. I'm serious.
the
One thing
folk,
that hit me is we just need to have more African American theater in the city of Harrisburg.
oh,
Sankofa, African American, is doing great. That was a wonderful piece that you guys put together. It was just needs because we're starving for that. We're really hungry for that. I remember
mhm.
thinking, boy, yeah. And I love August Wilson and all that. We just don't get enough of it. And also August Wilson's complex. You have to really you stick with him for a minute. And then
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
One of our cast members was in Jitney in
Mm-hmm.
at Open State a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Steve
Yeah.
was in Jitney. And I
Yeah.
kept because when he first came to audition, I kept looking at him going like, I know you from somewhere, because anytime
And
an August Wilson play came here to Harrisburg, I would go and see it.
what's his name? Do you
Uh,
remember? Which role did he play? Which role
also,
did he play?
he played, remember the scene where it was a mental health scene where he was the Barbara, and Giovanni, the heavyset actress, came out. She had on the white robe, and
Mm-hmm.
he was the barber.
Yeah, he's a little bit old. I would say it this way, a little bit older, more mature guy. But you had a young guy in there. You had
Yeah, he was the older one. Had that, I called him now Steve the Voice. He is this fabulous voice. I told him he needs to go into narration.
He is out of the church of Harambe. He was out of Harambe. He did a lot of work with,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
also, yeah. So he's a seasoned. He's very good. He's a
Yeah.
very good
Yeah.
actor. Yeah.
But I told him, I said, the
Yeah.
thing you need to do is voice narration for authors because he has an amazing voice.
He'd been perfect for that if he'd have narrated through that. Just every now and then coming in and helping us understand where we are right now. You know, the piece with the mother who had her hair straightened and then the daughter had the afro, that was very real. That was very good, you know. You know
Oh,
that stuff happened back in
if that poem was called No, You Didn't. And that funny say that was because I said to Maria, that was the one that it resonated with me the most because I remember, and this was after my father had passed away, I had a big Angela Davis hair afro all through high school. And we were getting a church picture done. And my mother had made an appointment with a stylist that I had no idea I was going to. And she said to me, she says, you will not take a church picture with me with hair like that. And I'm like, what's wrong with my hair? And she's like, and remember the phrase, it's just too much, too thick, too hard to manage. And that was exactly what my mother was saying. It's just like, it's too much. It's unruly. And I can't even remember the exact word she used, but looked back and realized, you know, that if you grew up in that era of time and you were living in a Black household, your parents weren't doing it because they thought you were, you know, like being, you know, they were doing it because they thought they were protecting you, you know, from and
anything that moves you too ethnic, they didn't want you to deal with it. It's too ethnic. You're going to offend some white people. Blah blah blah.
Exactly.
That's what it said. You know, the Crown Act. It held the signs up, but no one ever mentioned what the Crown Act actually is. So someone was walking out and heard them say, you know, what was the Crown Act? Well, you know. And so when I went to work, I said to one of my colleagues, I said, you know, and I was talking about the play, and I said about the Crown Act. He was like, you know, what is that? So he had no clue. Never heard of it. And guys with PhD and everything else, he probably doesn't do it. You know. Say it again.
Pennsylvania hasn't passed it.
Yeah, but there was no, you know, there was really no discussion. But it was perfect though. They had the signs up and everything. And those who got it. They knew what that was all about. Those who didn't, it was like, yeah, that's pretty cool though. Really good stuff. But so, you know, and I love it.
I said, I also think theater, divisive theater should leave you in a state of wondering and questioning also that you would want to go find, especially if you are a patriot who is not a brown or Black person. To me, it also should leave you in a state of wonder of wanting to know more about why is this such an issue for brown or Black people.
Well, some people walk away saying, you know, it's not an issue. They make it an issue all the time. I mean, literally, there are people out there saying that because it's the Trump era. And so if you don't explain it fully, they weren't trying to get it. They can't be entertained. And then they get ticked off. You dare to bring in slavery again, or you dare to say something about white people. I remember thinking to myself, I wonder how this is playing. I always think about that, you know, with these folks. So even though they don't always come with the best intentions, okay? And they just want to be entertained sometimes. And I remember thinking, and I'm not just saying all white, some Black people like that too. Like, why do you have to go there again? I had a guy say something about a poet, and they said, oh, they seem to be stuck back in that stuff. And I remember being shocked at that when he made that comment. Because I thought,
what did you say?
He was saying this guy was making he was Black, he was African American, and he was making a comment about another poet's work. And he said they seem to be stuck back there in that, you know, almost like that civil rights thing. And I remember thinking, wow, I never expect that to come out of your mouth. You know what I mean? But it was like he didn't, it was sort of like, oh, they seem to be stuck back there in that. And I'm like, where's stuck where? George Floyd? Anybody remember him? You know, Trayvon Martin, that stuff is down. And that's the same thing we were talking about back then. It ain't changed, you know what I mean? Yeah. But he's anyhow, it was for me because that's my stuff. And I think most Black people that attended that, and many whites, it was a fantastic theater, and I just think it's, yeah, I hope it just carries on. Are there plans to keep it moving or to do more with that piece or what?
I know, I was talking to one of the cast members' husbands who is he's a professor at Penn State, and he said they would be
Okay.
very interested in having it do it there. So I think they're looking into it. I know you know Dr. Campbell.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think she was talking to Maria about taking certain poems and having it come on back on her show with 5 or 6
Hmm.
actors. But I hope she gets to do it that way. But I know like now, sometimes it's hard to get your cast back together immediately after the
Yeah.
performance. It's like they
Hmm.
need that
Yeah.
downtime. So,
Hmm.
talking about something.
Yeah. She may want to reach out to Kamika Williams Witherspoon, who's a master, theater person. I mean, she's just really, really good. But she has a tremendous, audience and reach in Philadelphia. So down at Temple University, she puts on a lot of plays. In fact, she just had a big production, Korean poem, and it was pretty much around the same time you guys are doing yours. But anyhow, Philly would be a nice, yeah, taking that to Philly would be a nice, nice
But
touch.
I know with the cast that we had, their work schedule, and, a lot of
Hmm.
them taking off time for work for this. So getting
Yeah.
them back into that, because we had one cast member who during the school performance had to get back to work, and several of them had to. So I know that would be a tough thing to ask them to turn around and do it again so soon.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So soon, I agree. Yeah, it's something
yeah,
that you'd have to work on and set up
exactly.
again. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm. But you know
exactly.
what? Also, finding some out of work professional actors who really do this full time.
That is
Giving them a
true.
shot at the play itself. Uh, the guy who is the editor, the publisher for Harrisburg magazine, he is an excellent playwright, and he's had stuff produced in D.C. at the Kennedy Center and other places. And so his main thing is just writing the plays and then getting other people to put them on. And he's done very well with that. So a lot of people Mandy Gross, a lot of people may not know that but his stuff is going all over the place. And I remember I used to get a book, and I forget the name. I was back in the day when I was really trying to do some theater, and the book is chock full of a lot of plays. Like, let's say Maria could take this play, and they would have to contact her, get her, permission to put it on, and then pay her license fee, that kind of thing. Well, the book had all these different genres of plays and stuff in it, and you just sit there and just decide but then you have to go through the work of bringing it to your community. But that's how a lot of these playwrights make their money.
Yeah,
So, that,
that would be, if I kept going with theater, that would be something I'd wanted to do with some of the plays that
yeah.
I did, like Colored Mamas. I would love to do
Hmm.
that again, but I don't necessarily want to go through the whole production of casting and all that I did to get that going. I would just love to have somebody else who would want to do it.
Just put it out there now. It's you can actually send that to boy, I would have to look that up again. It's been so many years, but it's like theater or something something, and that's what Randy did. I mean, he just literally, and I looked into it, but I was always looking to bring plays in rather than send my plays out. But you take your manuscript, and I think they'll give you guidance on it and that kind of thing. But if they
Mm,
accept it, then anybody around the country, around the world, really can
That's
buy
what I
into your
really would
play.
love to do. Because
Yeah,
right before
I mean,
COVID,
think about it.
I started writing another one that I'm 2 acts into. And it
Hmm.
really would take us very extremely small cast. And I said,
Yeah.
I'm going to sit down and finish it and see if I can get, some other production company to do it. Or I would love to go back and do Colored Mamas, Black Baby Boys again.
I'm thinking the same thing with The Visit. I turned that into a novel, but it was first a play. And we actually did it down at the State Museum, and my brother directed it.
Mhm.
And then one of the cast members said to me not long ago, she said, "How come you're not doing that again? I wish, that was really one of my favorite productions I've ever been in." And so I thought about it. I said, really, I need to maybe go back to, the actual play and just see whether or not I could actually get that, into that theater piece, see whether or not other people around the country want to put it on. Why not? I mean, it's our intellectual property. Instead of letting it just sit there, like
Yeah.
Hope Maria will definitely take that piece of hers and just, I mean, that can go all over the country, you know. Really good stuff. Yeah.
Well, you know,
How long was the place up? Uh-huh.
I where we will be in Washington is, and I was talking to Mary, her mom, Mary James, and I said, I can't believe, she says, oh, I think that's just God ordained, that right down the street from where we will be living, there is the Lynx headquarters. I was like, oh, and then they're the ones who were, you know, their partnering sponsors.
Now, who do you say about Washington?
Oh, I didn't tell you. I guess I haven't been with you for a while. We'll be
Huh?
relocating to Washington at the end of June.
Oh, you and your family.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Theo will be, well, Theo is, you know, he has the newly appointed on the cabinet, the committee with Biden. Well, he applied for the position as the CEO for NICL, the National Council of Independent Living. And that's what he's doing now.
Wow.
He has had to travel back and forth to Washington, and he doesn't like traveling, so he decided.
Yeah. Go ahead. Beautiful. Wonderful. So
That
I
is
can stay with the
not
word
it. I
workshop is
mean,
all about Zoom.
of
Yeah.
course, that's what I'm saying. It's not really changing anything for Writers Workshop.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we can do this anywhere, right? You know, this is great though. That's wonderful. And not only that, you probably can introduce us to some new writers and people down in DC, you know?
I know.
Yeah.
What I'm really excited about is, have you ever gone to Busboys and Poets?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, have you been there before?
No, and it was funny because Maria was telling me a little bit more about it. And I just started, like,
Mhm.
when Theo decided, like, he's, you know, we have to move there because it's going to be easier. I just started Googling anything that had to do with the arts in that area, because we'll
Yeah.
be Center City, Washington. And that came up.
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, Busboys. And then I got the whole, you know, the history of Langston Hughes and him being a busboy, and you know, that whole story. And I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah.
wow, and I honestly think it's like you can catch the metro to it. I don't think I'm that far on Massachusetts Avenue from it. I was like, there's my
Yeah.
spot. There is my spot.
Absolutely. There and also, you know, Howard University brings in a lot of outstanding, you know, poets and writers and people all the time. So if you can make your way to Howard, to Busboys, um, there was a bookstore we used to go to down there. Wow, years ago. But yeah, that was my little running spot there when I was with the National Alliance of Third World Journalists. So we were now there all the time, and they're just loaded. Now, by the way, there are two Busboys. One's in Maryland and
Yeah.
one's in D.C.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So they're both outstanding. You know. Yeah, good stuff. That's excellent. Yeah. And you'll
Yeah.
discover some other venues, you know. Yep, no question.
So I'm
Wow, you
very
moved to
excited about
DC.
that.
Yeah, you know, Pat was born and raised in DC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think she did tell me that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then her sister still is she's a therapist and she has an office. Well, actually, yeah, she has an office downtown there in DC. I think she maintains the office, but she has a thriving, you know, counseling business. I mean, she works constantly, you know, all kinds of clients coming in. So they're still there, and her, you know, her niece and all them. So we can hook you up with them, and they know DC. Oh my goodness, they know DC. All the restaurants, all the hangouts for different things and stuff. Yeah, good stuff. In fact, the Pat's sister's husband, he passed away, but he was a poet, and so Terry published his poetry for his wife. You know, she didn't do it widely, but she published a very nice book of his poetry. And he never really, you know, he didn't do a lot with it. He tried to get him on one night, and I don't think he ever came on. He just talked about maybe, but he was kind of reluctant. But he had good poetry though. So anyhow, but yeah, yeah, it's a big scene down there, as you can imagine. Mm-mm-mm. Well, listen, you know, good stuff. Again, congratulations. Um,
Yeah.
you know, I hate to see that you're moving, but I'm glad that you're going to be, you know, still in the mix as far as, you know, hanging in with the Writers Workshop. But also that gives us another voice in DC. That is excellent. Right now we have a voice in DC, so that's
Mhm.
great. Yeah. So what project are you working on now? And I know you have something rolling. What's going on? Oh, did you ever hook up with that conference? You talked about a conference that you were
I'm
planning?
gonna go into, I was torn. There's the Inkers Con, which was one I was thinking about going to, but then I don't know, I guess I'm old and faithful. I'm going to the RSJ one again this year.
Okay.
I was speaking to the spokesperson. I'm gonna have to contact her soon because I threw an idea about a workshop at her and she was like, yeah, that would be really good. But we haven't connected.
Okay.
I've been so busy with the play. I told her I would love to do a workshop on writing in deep POV. Um,
Okay. Okay. Mhm.
and some of my the Emma Awards I've won, I've got them because of my, writing in deep POV, like making you feel
Mhm.
you knew the characters. And it would be great to be able to share that and do like a writing workshop with some of the participants, new writers, like, writers who have just started, and how to get
Well, I would say
readers to fall in love with your characters.
one of the things that I just talked with Jesse Waters, and so we're back on track with Elizabethtown College, and we want to do it, stick with the every other month, theme, and really get back into it, and try to bring in some, some workshop leaders like we did before. The gentleman Brown, I forget his full name, out of out of I think he was out of Connecticut, but anyhow, we're going after some real funding, by the way. I just had a wonderful workshop, not workshop, meeting this morning with our grants writer. And, we have a conference coming up in April of 2024. Already got the contract, signed the contract. It's going to be right here in Harrisburg. It's going to be a two-dayer where we have a dinner, a retreat, and then we're going to have a performance and all that kind of stuff. But then I'll tell you more about that. But it'll be a Friday night. And then that Saturday, we'll be doing something, much more performance based. But and we're bringing in a top speaker, either the Nikki Giovanni's of the world or Sonia Sanchez, somebody. But it's going to be somebody of note that we want to make, people want to sell some tickets and bring some people up in here. So we started planning already. Like I said, we already signed the contract, going after the money and the funding. And I think we got it at this point for at least, for the main speakers and stuff. But hopefully we could, entice you into coming back up and doing a workshop. And we're going to pay our workshop presenters, all that kind of good stuff. But June 2nd, we were looking at the second Saturday in June, which is June the 10th, actually. We're looking at doing our first retreat down at Elizabethtown College, from 9 to 5 again.
June 10th.
June 10th. Yeah, June 10th. And then we have things planned for Juneteenth. We have the State Museum again for the 18th, and then 900 South Arlington Avenue for the 17th. We're doing a big vendors village on the 17th, and then a major program for June the 18th to honor Juneteenth. So those are the two major things coming up. We also solidified the third Sunday in October for our International Storytelling Festival, and then the third Saturday in December for our, holiday special that we're going to be doing. But also Kwanzaa, we're hoping to do the second Saturday in December for Kwanzaa, and we're hoping to get this John Harris High School again. I think we're probably, yeah, have that. But those are the things that are kind of on the drawing board, and we have a big event coming up tomorrow. I hope that everybody knows that tomorrow morning, starting at 10 o'clock, over at the Harrisburg University of Science and Technology, which is at 4th and Market Street. I think it's 236 Market. It's a free program, and we'll be sponsoring. Brother Chris, that's right, Brother Chris did the flyer for us and everything. That's a beautiful flyer, man. I really like that flyer. And it's called Policing the Criminal Justice System, a Black Perspective, from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. And you see the two speakers, Keontae Ricks, who is an outstanding poet, and he's done some really good videos of his spoken word piece. But he was incarcerated for some 18 years, state prison, and then was found exonerated. He was found innocent, and he's been on the case ever since he's been released to really fight against the injustice of the systems and how they can really, just tie you up and then say, oh, we made a mistake. And it's like, what? And there's no compensation or anything. And then, of course, Natasha C. Williams, an attorney, and she's running to become a judge, I think a common pleas judge. And she's a great speaker. We interviewed her before and everything. But anyhow, they will be speaking tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 12 noon, talking about policing the criminal justice system, a Black perspective. And we will have a talk back and all that good stuff. And then, as you can see, tomorrow afternoon from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., we're sponsoring a pre-Mother's Day celebration. Now, it was scheduled to be at 900 South Arlington Avenue. It's looking at rain. And so we decided not to take a chance. So it's now at the Deluxe Lounge and Venue, 4600 Jonestown Road, which is the Colonial Park Mall. It says right next to Boscov's. And so come on out. It's a free program where our sponsors are Giant Foods, and they're going to bring a crew of people as well as have free hot dogs and chips and all that kind of stuff. And then we have a vendor who's also going to be selling food. It's going to be really good food. She's excellent, Denise Liquors. And then we have some other vendors that will be there. But we have a lot of activities lined up from, paint and sip for the mothers, and also bingo and karaoke and just a whole bunch of other things. It's going to be a lot of fun. So it's all free. Bring your mom out, bring your wife out, bring your sister out, whoever, and it's all free Mother's Day celebration. And, we're trying to keep it for adults mostly. We just want the mothers to have a lot of fun. So it's kind of an adults-only thing, but we'll have a lot of fun. I hope that you'll come out. These are some of the things that the Writers' Workshop is currently doing. And a bunch of other stuff, too. We're still involved. Rogue Brady has been part of it. We're still involved with AXO. I just got off the phone with Copper Brunson. We're going to take some 18 young people to the national competition this year, which is held in Boston, Massachusetts. And last year we walked away with a gold medal, a bronze medal, and a $10,000 scholarship winner. And that was from, serious competition throughout the country. And believe me, it's always stiff competition, but Harrisburg holds its own. And we think that the young people that we have this year will hold their own again. And so I want to thank Ro once again. Thank you, Ro, for being one of our judges. And, and I hope that we won't lose that touch. We're definitely going to do in person next year. We already made up our mind about that. Maybe we can get you back up here on the weekend or something. DC is not that far away.
I'm just a hop and a skip, let's jump away. I'm not going to be back 2 hours.
Yeah, that's all it is. About a good 2 hours. And let's make that. Hopefully, you can make a good. When we had, did you meet Nicole Wilkerson? Do you know Nicole?
I think so.
Nicole Wilkerson. Yeah. So Nicole has really been a tremendous blessing to the Writers' Workshop and Life Esteem, because she's helped to put on all of our events recently. She's an events planner and coordinator, and her organization is called Nicole is Making It Happen. And so she really is a consumer advocate, but she also is an event planner. And so all the things that I just mentioned, she has a major hand in those things, and does a great job. But anyhow, when we brought the play in from DC about a year ago, we had that wonderful play, I can't even call the name right now, and it was a major production. But anyhow, it did it on the fly. That thing was done less than a month, because I said, hey, why aren't we doing it? They were like, let's do it then. And the local talent got together and they did the best they could, and just a little bit of a month's time. But the audience was electric. They came out in droves. And so, again, our community started before theater. But anyhow, the young lady who brought that to us, who was the playwright and everything, was from DC. And she's really, really, really connected with a lot of great persons, like the manager of Hattie LaBelle and this person, that person. She knows them all. So a lot of those people came here for that production, and they really paid them pretty good money to do so. And they were no slouches. These people had incredible credentials. And then to do it on a fly like that, they did it because they know her. And her and her husband are just really great people. So anyhow, we want to connect you with them, because you want to know where the arts are down there. She certainly could tell you a lot about the arts, in DC. And I can't wait to come down there and visit y'all. In DC. Yeah, I told you, Pat, we're down there all the time anyhow, because Pat's family.
No, I
So
can't wait to go to the African American Museum. That's one of the very first places I want to go. My girlfriend and I,
yeah,
husband, were going to go right when we were looking at tickets and everything, and then COVID hit, and then it closed, and we hadn't really thought about it again. We were just talking,
yeah,
going.
yeah. We were just saying that we're going to go down sometime in June because we've been there before. We went. And Pat was one of the persons that signed up to be like one of the founders. You know, she paid money to be a part of it. So when they had their first grand opening, she, you know, actually was able to be there. And then we went down with a bus trip from Harrisburg, and I took a lot of pictures, and you know, was putting them up, which they allowed you to do. But the audience was incredible. I mean, the wait, the time. Oh man, people from all over the world trying to get into that place. So you had to sit down they asked you to be down in the lower level and then work your way up. But quite frankly, go against the grain, go to the top and come down because
Oh,
everybody's starting at the bottom. And it's all this big long line. So if you can get away with it, you can go up to the top first, then come down. You'll actually see more. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
No,
they have it in down there. Yeah. You know. Yeah, we was waiting in line. They also have a really nice cafeteria if you haven't been there. The food, soul food, they have all kinds of great food in the basement at the part there too. And I heard it's gotten even better. So yeah. So you can have lunch there and all that kind of good stuff. Yeah. Real good.
it's
Real
definitely
good.
all of that.
Mhm.
There's
Say to Brother Chris, I know we've been rolling here for a bit, and I thought we'd have a few more people tonight. Now, I will say this, I'm, you know, keeping my sister, Wendy No Cherry on you in prayer. I know she wasn't feeling too well. She just talked to her last night. I had missed her message completely, and I thought said something that, you know, I'm being released, and so I called her, and here she had been going through it, and so, when something happens, we got to make sure we remind ourselves that we got to take care of ourselves when anybody and anything can hit us at any time. And so, keep her in your prayers. I know she's doing much better, but she's got to take care of herself. And so, so let's just keep in mind. Also, I got to lift up Jamie Foxx. I mean, wow, it's gotten kind of serious from what I'm
yeah,
understanding.
no, I just was reading about that earlier today.
Yeah, it's like they put him back in ICU. ICU ain't no place to be. I mean, that
Nope.
means you're, looking at something kind of critical,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, wow.
brain bleed.
It's a brain bleed?
That's
Oh,
what they were
man. Well,
saying
they said that leads to stroke. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And
Uh,
that's very difficult to stop, they say at times. Yeah. So, sheesh. Wow. You never know, right? And he's a relatively young man. How old do you think he is? He's about 50, maybe?
it's 55.
He's 55. Okay. He's older than I thought he is, but still, 55 is too young. Yeah. Sheesh. Good gracious. Well, anyhow, hats off to everyone who is working to, we did this week was Nurses Week. We honor nurses and we do blessing of the hands. And so you go around and they have a nice saying, bless these hands for blah, 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 and all that. And then they had a lot of other things they did in honoring of the nurses. And so, let's keep in mind to, lift up our nurses, our doctors, all the persons who are laying on hands of people who are, seriously sometimes a death door, or they just, need to go through that storm that they're going through, whatever. It takes, some really skilled people to help people to get through that stuff. So I had started doing what was called the COVID diaries. And I want to get back to that. I wrote a piece or two, and then I kind of lost steam, but all of a sudden I'm feeling it again. And so I'm going to get back to that. And I'm so glad that we don't wear the mask right now in the hospitals. If nurses just want to, but it's like the mask got to go. I mean, it served its purpose, and I certainly wore it every single time that we were required to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But now that the numbers are down, I'm glad, and I hope that we can stay that way and get back to normal. Yeah. So okay, well, maybe before you get out of town here, we need to get you to do a workshop or something for us, And I don't know if the 10th of June works for you or not. That's a Saturday.
I mean, I'm doing a part of one at Dayspring on June the 3rd, talking about,
Oh, yeah.
talking about, well, the topic I'm covering is traditional versus self-pub.
Mm-hmm. What's your take on that, by the way? That's a hot topic, and I remember being at the Harlem Book Fair where we had a really good panel on that.
It's funny because I belong to another writers group, and we were just talking about that the other day. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember talking to, oh, I guess this was a few years ago, talking to an author who became traditional, but they signed her for a 2-book contract. The first book did extremely well, but the second one didn't do very well at all. And
Mm-hmm.
she ended up like literally owing them money and having to really struggle to get her rights back to her book,
Mm.
you know. And
Yeah.
I kept thinking, like, for a while I really wanted to go because I was so close. And then um the novel that I'm still touring of which direction to go to, I pitched it several times to when I was at RSJ. And I don't know, I like the autonomy of owning everything of all my intellectual material. So I'm always
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that because, the person I pitched it with said to me, I don't think the ending of the story is very realistic. And
Mm-hmm.
and for me, even though I write fiction, I know it's what God would want me to write. I said, I like writing the kind of things where I could go and hand it to my pastor and not have to worry about, like, oh, I don't want them to read that part. I mean, I can write edgy, but I don't choose
Mm-hmm.
to. I choose to go to a certain point and then let your imagination travel with the rest because I feel like that's what God would want me to do. And the fact
Well,
that
mm-hmm.
it might not
Mm-hmm.
be, like there are people who are making a lot more because they write a certain genre that every people are very, you know, enjoy reading. Like I would never write erotica. Like if you want to write erotica, you write it. I have nothing against people who are writing it. And it's very popular. And I know a lot of self-published authors who are doing very well with that genre, extremely
Yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something,
Mm-hmm.
that I would want to write to do extremely well.
No, it's not true. It's not true. To their own self be true. I heard T.D. Jakes, he was doing a piece called He Motion. And it's a talk he was giving. Actually, it was a book he wrote, but it was a talk he was giving at a local church. And he broke this thing down. He said, this is not a sermon tonight. This is a talk. And he got to rolling. But he talks about exactly that. And he said, oh, I know how to write a love, whatever. And he goes into this whole thing. And it's not erotica at all, but it just takes it right up to, and he just did it from the spirit of the moment. How you can capture it and blah, 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 make it sound like it's going to be something. And then but it was masterful. I mean, I said to myself, this is this guy. But the point being, to their own self be true. If you're going to write something you're not feeling comfortable with, why write it? And not only that, you're
Exactly.
probably not write it well, huh?
I said exactly.
Yeah, you're not going to write it well because you're not believing in it. You're not owning it, and it can come off as very awkward. We've had some examples even on this platform where people kind of came out of their bag, and you thought to yourself, where did that come from? Because it just didn't seem authentic. It just didn't seem like the person. And so sometimes I go back to MC Hammer when he was not popular anymore as a rapper, and so he came out with that hardcore gangster rap, and it actually was pretty good, but no one was buying it because it's MC Hammer. Come on, man. And it's like, this not, why do it, brother? So he only did that one album. We call them albums. But, and some of it only was jamming, but and he never took it really way out there like some of those guys do. But the point was, it's like, Hammer, don't do it, man. To be who you are. So one of the things that hopefully we can do is just that, really push that whole self-publishing piece because that's where most people are going these days. People want to go the traditional route. It's right there for them. I mean, it's everywhere, but you need to get an
It's just
agent.
the work is the same. I mean, there's some conveniences that you may have built into traditional publishing. Like, you're going to have somebody who's going to give you prayerfully a good edit. You're going to have a cover artist. You're going to have all these things built in. But I feel for me personally, the fact that
Mhm.
then once I sign that contract, if there's changes that I don't necessarily want to make because I signed the
Mhm.
contract, I'm obligated to make them.
Yeah, yeah.
I got
No,
molded.
listen. I'm not gonna waste my time with the tradition. I mean, those who are doing it, great. I look at Kwame Alexander. He is doing gun ho work. I mean, the brother's really dedicated. I remember he used to come to the writers' workshop and all that stuff. But now, hey, boom, he's big time. That's great stuff. And for those who do that, excellent. And it pays off in the long run. They, like you said, they
Yeah,
sign the
it's
contract, get the money.
hard. And I think a lot of people were under the mindset that like, oh, if I get traditionally published, I'm just going to sit back and my publishing company is going to sell my book. That is not true,
No,
because I know a lot of traditionally published Black women authors who are hustling just as hard as I am hustling, or if not harder, because they
well,
signed a contract. I don't have to
and
worry.
not only that,
Yeah, I don't
they
have to worry
want you to make
how
that
hard
money.
I have to
Yeah.
hustle. Yeah.
hmm Yeah, the publisher's putting up a lot of cash and everything. So they want you to get out there and hustle. You got to be on that circuit.
Yeah,
You
you
have to
don't have
be.
a choice. Yeah,
That's right. And if you don't do it, it's like, well, I'm not going to publish you again because you're not pushing the book, And they're not gonna push as much as they say they're going to push.
they're
Come
not,
on. They
no,
just,
they are not gonna push,
no, no,
have to do just as
no.
much. Because I know going to the RSJ conference, I've had an opportunity to pitch my books. And then after, like it's that waiting game of like, did they like it or did they not like it? And with self-pub, I don't have to worry about it. I publish it for me,
There you
the
go.
biggest thing I think as
And
a
if you like
self-pub
it,
is that
hmm
you need to make sure that what you're putting out there is well edited. You need to make sure that it looks professional as much as you can make it look professional. So my
hmm
advice to anybody who's considering, doing their own books and being an indie author is that you find the support systems that you need. You find an editor, you find a good cover artist, you have beta readers, you buy you
hmm
platforms, because I just renewed my book funnel the other day. These are things
hmm
that helped me, get my books out there.
That's what you have to do. Yeah, and there are so many different
Yeah.
ways to get it out there these days. I mean, the world is a platform, and if you, I used to say to high school kids, not even high school kids, junior high, actually, I always talk about writing a book, and I'll say, listen, I was going into the schools doing the poetry and that kind of stuff. I said, do you realize that if you only sold your book just to everybody in Philadelphia, don't think about the whole world, just Philadelphia. You know how many millions of people are just in Philadelphia alone, and this is a greater Philadelphia area. I said, no one else buys your book except everybody in greater Philadelphia area. You're selling about 3 million books. Who's selling 3 million books these days? Come on now. I said, so, think of it like that. You don't have to, you have the world at your disposal, but how you get it out there. And sometimes if you have that regional approach and it really catches on, that can make you a New York Times bestseller just right there, because you have so many people in this area who are like, oh man, you got to read this book. But the hope is that it would have, worldwide appeal and all that kind of stuff. Well, it may not. But most authors are not selling 100,000 books. They're just not, whatever. But if they sell 100,000 books, that's pretty successful. I'll
Yeah.
never forget John Whiteman. Yeah, John Whiteman said, I sell 35,000 to 45,000 books. He said, but my book's a scholarly book. He said, I look at a guy like, who was the guy that died? He was a gay writer, gay activist.
I know who
And
you're talking to. I can't think of his name right
yeah,
now.
yeah. I know. I can't. Perry or something like that.
Yeah,
Anyhow, Harris.
yeah,
Something Harris. Yeah, something Harris.
Harris, Lynn
Mhm.
Harris. I think it was Lynn.
I think it was Lynn Harris. He was
Yeah,
hot. Boy, was he hot.
yeah,
And
yeah.
everybody's buying the books, and the romance, and all that kind of stuff. But he wasn't winning awards like your boy was. But he said, I'm selling 45,000. This guy's selling 4 million. He said, so no, right like that, or do I want to write, continue to write as a scholarly? He couldn't do what Lynn Harris was doing, so he had to do what he was doing. And Lynn Harris wouldn't do what he's doing. So just do your thing, and if it's about the money, then you probably got the wrong idea.
Yeah,
you know?
you're ready to get rich off of doing this, and I think that's the advice that I'm going to give at the workshop I do at church. It's like, this is not like and if you're not willing to put the work and the effort into it, you're not going to get very
Mhm.
much out of it. And and
Not
then
at
you're
all.
thinking every day of how do I reach another reader? Like I sold books
Yeah.
3 days at the play and did extremely well. And then what you're doing is like, oh, okay, I don't want you to just buy the books here. I'm going to keep writing. So I need your email address. I need you to, so you're always expanding your contacts, but then you're also making contacts that, because we look at Facebook, we look at IG, we look at Amazon, and we look at all these platforms that are owned by other people. You also have to make sure that you own your own platform. Like set up a website, set up your own website, do your email, have an email where you're contacting, and then you keep that list.
That's what you have to do. So here's the thing. Welcome everybody to the Writers Workshop. If you're tuned in, I know we're on Facebook Live. And for the last hour, Ro and I have just been kind of rolling and talking about a lot of different things. She is the director of the play that just took Harrisburg by storm, called Harris Story, written by Maria Chow, also supported by a lot of local talent. I was so glad to see the Women in African Dance, troupe represented with Lark Daniels and company, and then also just so many other persons. Andrea Fulton poured into it. The one, I'm sorry, I'm messing up her name, but she came out with you in the beginning and did the opening monologue, white female.
Janet
Maria.
Whistler. Yeah, Janet was our production manager.
Sorry about that, Janet, because she is excellent. Yeah. So it's so much good stuff. But anyhow, we have some videos we want to show you. One of the things that I enjoy about Friday nights is that, Brother Chris is able to pull up videos that are just excellent. So I'm going to ask him if he doesn't mind doing 2 videos for us back to back. We'll do one, then we'll come back and say a little something, then we'll do another one. Poetry Me Please first.
They say he dreamt that one day people would be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. That's true. But he also said we can never be satisfied as long as the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable horrors of police brutality. He said this over 50 years ago. But I guess the more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm not saying that all police officers are bad. Just those of you who've been pulling out your guns like writing utensils as you authorize bullets with your signatures on the backs of little black boys, and before you go blaming him. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to rationalize the police officer who's staring you in your eye, finger wrapped around the dictator of your last today and his mind made up. But officer, please don't tell me that you're Jewish, because if I remember correctly, there was a point in time where your people were held at the mercy of another man's fingertips as he decided whether or not he felt like getting blood on his shoes today. Oh, but if you forgot, I'm not surprised, because you live in great old America, or the land of the free and the home of the hypocrites. But I guess I've seen some progress. I was downtown Newark when I saw a white man holding up a sign that said Black Lives Matter. Like hashtag Black Lives Matter, 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 hashtag all lives matter. But did all lives matter before or after Michael Brown was shot dead while unarmed? Did all lives matter? Better yet, were you using your last breath to say so when Eric Gardner was using his to say, I can't breathe? Did all lives matter? Before or after Sean Bell was shot the night before his wedding and his bride-to-be? Dreading the sound of her heels clicking, for they sounded like nails being hammered into a coffin, had to walk towards the altar to see her mister turned into her dearly departed. She had to see the man she loved dead before she had a chance to say, till death do us part, did all lives matter? Before or after justice started dying in the comfort of courtrooms, where witness stands are deathbeds and jurors are gods of bias, where the closer the victim's skin comes to matching the mahogany, the closer the victim's justice comes to being buried in it, did all lives matter? No? Well, then I guess all lives matter only after the case is closed. And I've seen far too many RIPs trickle down Twitter feeds, and I start to wonder how these people can rest in peace when they weren't put to sleep in such a way, as if they weren't a part of the dream. See, Dr. King's dream was simply for humanity to start being humane. It's been over 50 years. And maybe if the dream was finally a reality, we wouldn't have to stay woke.
All right. This piece, you know, it caught my ear that she said I was in downtown York. Is that what I heard her say in that piece?
That's what she said too. That I thought she said. I mean, at first I thought she said New York, but then I wonder if she said New York.
I thought she said downtown York, but I wasn't sure, and I thought maybe she was a homegirl here. Maybe she's close by. I don't know.
I wasn't sure she said New York or York. I wasn't.
Yeah. Brother Chris, did you kind of catch that? I don't know if he was listening.
Mm-hmm.
No, sir, I didn't. Not to nail it down. No, sir, I didn't, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Okay.
I wasn't sure she said
Yeah,
York.
well, I would like to check it out. Okay, that was a good piece, though. I enjoy her. And I wonder where that venue was, where she was speaking from, because I didn't hear any audience reaction, so to speak. It's just kind of but good stuff. So since we've talked so much, let's do one more piece, another piece if we can, because I like to get the videos in, and then we'll talk more. This rock, okay. DC.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Mhm.
The first time I used a tampon, I was 14 and a half. 15 if you ask my mother, because the first time I used a tampon, I was afraid to tell her. The first time I used a tampon, it was a bloody disaster. I was Carrie in that one scene where she ends up drenched in the pig's blood. That was me, sitting on my bathroom floor, messy with my own period blood, scared stupid by a tampon, so scared, in fact, that I opened it, pulled it out and put it back in, and out and back in, and out and in, and out and in. So the two friends, Google, YouTube, Yahoo Answers, Bing, and my dog before I even worked up the courage to use it. It took me 2 hours before I even got a good look at the thing. Upon seeing it, I realized it looked like a tiny bullet, and maybe that's when I started thinking my vagina a weapon. Started thinking my womanhood less weakness and more wild-wondered strength, realized bleeding isn't always brokenness, that sometimes it is battle, and I wish I had known sooner. Or remembered when it counted, when he wanted to use my body as a place to lay down his heavy burdens, and I thought that I was too weak to fight back. I should have known that it would, that no matter how hard he thought he was, he could not make home out of it, that he would always be an unwelcome guest, would be greeted at the door with more than a warning growl not to enter, but with the hell of a bite, because this thing has got teeth. And it's bloody from a battle it is fighting with its own body. And sometimes I forget how strong it is. Need reminders that pussy don't mean weak, that it means strength. And that's why men degrade it. Teach us to hide it, be ashamed to call it our flower, but never let it bloom. It is only beautiful when they tell us it is. Say to keep our legs closed, but never deny a boy's advances. We breathe oxymoron like oxygen, and I am sick of deciphering what they want from me. In my body, in my vagina, I am sick of listening, of preparing myself for a war with a world that only wants me for consumption, but being too afraid to fight. Spent years aimed and ready to fire without ever pulling the trigger. And I will teach my daughter to be more militant than maiden, that she was born with a weapon between her thighs, but that it isn't what's between her thighs that makes her my daughter, and she can always fight back. That when someone calls her a pussy, to say you're right, that she is a mean, strong pussy with a nasty bite, that her pussy don't just grab back, it shoots tiny tampon bullets. I will teach her to bleed unapologetically, to become a blood-stained warrior, to be female in fighting, because that is so woman, so bloody fantastic to be a woman and a weapon all on your own.
was powerful. Wow. You know, that was deep. What do you think?
Yeah, it was. I knew she was going to go into another topic from where she started from.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I knew it's a setup. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Uh-huh.
And,
Yeah.
and I hope no one thought that offensive. I thought it was really well put. And you know,
Yeah.
and this is my spouse for the go. Oh no, I'm you know, no need to apologize. I thought it was listen. I was okay with it. How about you, Rob?
Yeah. Because you could tell that she was going somewhere else because it was so full of metaphors.
Yeah. And the one word I know somebody might find that objective. We try not to use profanity, whatever. But she made a very powerful point, and I don't think it was too vulgar or anything like that. So I'll just simply say, you know, thank you for sharing that. And heck, it is what it is, you know. Yeah, not everybody's gonna like everything, but I thought that was powerful, you know. And
I like
express well, like you said, you started
Yeah.
off with, and I thought, wow, where's she going? But that's life, it's part of human life, right? Yeah,
Mhm,
good stuff.
mhm.
So you were touching on that. Sometimes when you write, you know, you said, well, I want to be able to share it with my pastor. I don't want to have to, you know, that kind of thing. Let's just say, Dr. Dan had, oh, okay, Dr. Dan is joining us.
Hey,
Dan
Dr.
Snowden?
Hello there. Hello, everybody.
Hey, how you doing?
Thanks for yourself.
Very good, very good. Yeah. You just come in. Did you see that last piece we just aired?
I caught the tail end of it, actually.
Oh, okay.
So,
Very good.
but I did have an idea of what direction it was going towards.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay. Well, it's good to see you. I hope that you have something to read tonight.
Yep, sure do.
Okay. Real good. We'll be turning to you in a few minutes then. And Ro, I don't know if you had something you wanted to share tonight. I didn't think to ask you in the
Yeah, I
first
think
hour
I
here.
think that it was funny. I said my son inspired this piece. It took
Okay.
me like sort of down a small rabbit hole. It's something he said to me that made me write this piece. It's called "Is It Eternal?" And it's
Okay.
funny about what we were talking about because I find myself still writing about those social justice issues all the time, you know, to some degree. And this one was inspired by my son. So, is it eternal? Is it eternal? Will it remain settled on my soul, ingrained in my spirit, permeating my nostrils like washed chitlins cooking on the back burner of my mama's stove, in the kitchen where my sister's hair fried like breakfast bacon? Is it eternal? Like my daddy's bad back and busted knees he got serving in a war for a country that thinks of him as a second-class citizen and only 3/5 of a man, unlike the man standing in the unemployment line beside him. Is it eternal, like catching raindrops on your tongue that soon turn into blood droplets splattered across urban sidewalks? Like little white boys who tell you it's okay if they don't do the work now because they will grow into middle-class white men where all things will come like golden gifts on shiny silver platters. Is it eternal? Like this heavy oppression that pushes Black folks down, making them forget about those undreamed thoughts of success in the whitewashed marketplace. Is it eternal? To be the token one, the one with the brownest face, the one that shines like the newly washed, clean to the bone, assimilated, chosen program robot. Is it eternal? To forget about the ancestors who breathed their last good breath crossing the bloody banks of the Jordan to reach the other side, only to discover that beans don't burn on the grill and the good times are slow to come, and there ain't no moving up to the east side to no deluxe apartment in the sky. Does the heaviness of carrying your melanin leave you weak at the end of the day? Does it give you cause to wonder why the finger is being pointed at you? Do you suffer from from mistaken identity? Folks telling you who you'll never be, finding fault with the space that you take up in the universe? Is it eternal? Take no comfort in these temporary afflictions. Turn your face to the sun, because there is where eternity lies.
Go ahead, girl. Good piece. Yeah, and I always like refrain, especially when you do it with is it eternal? And then it makes you think, you know. I had to go grab my cord real quick. I realized that my phone might go out of use. That's why I jumped up and ran. But good piece. You said you're, go ahead, Dr. Dan, you want to talk about it?
What's that?
Did you want to make comment on that piece?
Only in this case, what it did was it exuded reality, as far as I know.
Okay, good stuff. All right. So, but you said your son kind of inspired that piece, bro?
Yeah, he was going through something at school, and he just said, Ma, is this eternal, like the smell of chitlins? He was struggling with something. I was like, ooh, that's good. And he's like, Mom, I'm struggling in poetry. And I'm like, but that was really a good line. And right after I hung up the phone with him, he got over what he was going through at the time. And I said to him, I called him back the next day and I said, you inspired me to write this.
That's good. And you read it to him?
I haven't read it to him.
Right.
No, we've
okay.
I have not. I just told him he inspired me to write another poem. And I'm finally got enough, because my poems and short stories, I have enough for a new book. I just don't know when I'm going to type it and get it edited. But I need your opinion on something, you and Dr. Dan, while we're here. I'm tossed between two titles. And I know most of all these poems that are going to be in this new book are very similar to this one, where it's like a lot of social justice issues and issues about, you know, the whole Black-white relationship thing. So I have two titles. One of them is Mocha Lattes and Melanin, or Lattes, Marshmallows, and Melanin. And I'm kind of going with the lattes, mocha lattes, and melanin, but I'm trying to get a poll of which one.
You have Lizelle just joined us as well. Lizelle, how you doing?
Hey, Lizelle.
Good night.
Hey, good seeing you.
I'm tossed between those two titles.
Say them again so that Lizelle can hear them as well.
I said mocha lattes and melanin, or mocha lattes, marshmallows, and melanin.
I like the first one.
I'm actually partial to the second one.
I'm partial to the first one.
Marshmallows.
The first one sounds good.
Yeah, I'm still
the marshmallows throws me off. I'm sorry. Yeah. But anyhow, but it's you know it's your call though, right?
Yeah. I was just trying to get a feel for, and I'm more toward the mocha lattes and melanin. Like I feel like the shorter. But I was first.
Well, Dr. Dan did give you. Go ahead, Dr. Dan.
In there.
So, well, go ahead on what? All I said was that she got her tiebreaker there. So what? So I guess you go with the first title.
Well, there's only 3 people, man. Come on now. Don't take yourself out of the game yet.
It'll probably be a Facebook post of like, I did that with a character, with a short story I did. I had people vote on giving me a name for a character. And I got a lot of responses and a lot of feedback on my social media posts. So I probably will put that out there again. And that's really a great way to get people tied into your writing, is to ask.
That's right. Yeah, that I agree with that. That's good. Hey, let's get Dr. Dan in here. And also, did you have anything that you want to read tonight, Lizelle?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So we're going to have Dan Snowden, Dr. Dan read a piece, and then we'll have Lizelle, and we'll go back to a couple more videos before the night is out as well. So glad you all joined us. For those of you just tuning in, you're part of the Writers WordShop. We do this every single Friday night here on The Voice, 17104 Harrisburg, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we're always looking for, serious writers, I'll say it that way, who want to, add to the dialogue, to the, to the furtherance of the muse, and all that. So we do ask you that if you want to come on, to be serious, we have a lot of fun on here, but we have had some people come on and they want to try to sabotage it, and we just don't have time for foolishness. So that's why it's kind of, we let you in according to, whether or not you just want to share and do your work. Nazil's out of New York. She's an excellent poet, a serious artist as well. Dr. Dan Snowden's here in Harrisburg, and so is Ro Brady. On her way to D.C., we just found out. Oh my goodness! Like D.C. needs more geniuses. We need more geniuses here in Harrisburg. But anyhow, it's all good. She's going to stay connected. But at this time, Dr. Dan Snowden, if you can do a piece for us.
Okay, sure. Here's one I haven't done in a while. It's called A Funny Facebook Story. That's an instance where I friended an individual had the same name as another, but I wound up friending the wrong one. Most people out there know about Facebook, that beloved social media tool. It helps many connect to the world. Other folks simply deem it cool. There's a funny story about Facebook, one that I'm more than willing to share. It involves persons with similar names and a common bond that I'll soon declare. Two women named Melanie Morrison, whom I've befriended on the Facebook site. One has the middle name of Espenshade. The last name Ziegler is the other's right. Ms. Ziegler accepted my friend request when she still held the last name Morrison. I believe that this individual indeed was known as the recycling one. To my surprise, I was found to be wrong about the Melanie I thought I knew. Ms. Espenshade Morrison friended me as the one for whom recycling was true. Despite this mistake, the two Melanies were found to have a common convention. These women are by no means related, but they do share a family connection. One Melanie has a loving husband who is stepfather to two of her three boys. The other plays the role of stepmother. For her, two girls provide copious joys. Once all matters were finally cleared up, hold on a second, I'm going to scroll down here. Regarding my most unusual gaffe, the three of us all looked at the incident and wound up sharing an extensive laugh. The moral of the story is simple. It relates to many Facebook finds. Two women, different with similar traits, and both of whom to me so very kind.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Dan. Dan always has that wonderful rhyming scheme that he throws in there. And well done, well done. And I still want to see you one day do something for our youth where you sit down and really talk about, especially some of the scientific stuff you use.
Oh,
Very
sure.
good.
Oh, sure. Definitely had to. I mean, I was actually glad I got at least a little opportunity to do it, because where was that place we were last summer?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. That's right. We were over at the church. It was not Greater John. Come on now. It'll hit me in a minute. But anyhow, yeah, wonderful church over in Green Street. They had Goodwin Memorial Baptist Church, and they had us come over, and Dad did a great job. The young people enjoyed it. Keontae, Rick, and also Wendy and myself were there as well. That was part of the Juneteenth celebration, by the way. Yep.
I believe so. Yeah.
It sure was. Nazil Powder, what's going on up there in New York? I heard those sirens. Was that you? Was that coming through from you? I heard some sirens going past.
Some what?
I heard some sirens going past, like a fire engine or something. I don't know.
Maybe somewhere else.
Yeah, somewhere else. But what do you have for us tonight?
I just have a piece, and I'll be saying it in my dialect. It's Mother's Day. Mother's Day is Sunday, so I just wrote this piece not too long ago.
That's good. Okay.
So it goes like this. It's called Mother Me. Mother, Ma, Queen, Empress, Warrior. So much name to call you, as if you don't carry enough. Your name alone is worth diamonds and pearls. Starting from scratch. You are the backbone. You are the strength, the talent, God's creation. No one comes to take your place. You are the finest gem that no one can carry. Because your name is a lot of weight, don't they see you? You carry the whole world on your shoulder. Mama, mommy, even in sadness, your face bright, bright, bright. No one knows the burden you carry. You are my mama, my comforter, my pillow and my bed. Because when the going gets rough, I can rest my head. Queen, you will always be, as God light will always shine upon thee. That's it.
All right. Very nice. And thank you for reminding us Mother's Day on Sunday. Yeah.
I love the facial expressions. I loved it. Yeah, you had the most beautiful cheekbones. Anybody ever tell you that?
Yep, and using that dialect for the poem perfectly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I love when people allow their culture and their, their heritage to be part of their work. That's always powerful, and that's really, Thank you for sharing that. You ought to do more of those, by the way, because you really got into it. And you bring it to life. I like that. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, listen, again, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We do have a couple things coming up, and I don't know if you missed it or not. But anyhow, tomorrow morning from 10 a.m. until 12 noon, and we'll try to have this on Facebook Live on the Nathaniel Gadsden page, if you will, on Facebook. And there'll be others that will be doing the same thing. We're going to have a wonderful conversation, as you can see, policing the criminal justice system, a Black perspective. Poet and spoken word artist Keontae Ricks, whose story is powerful. He wrote a book called My Story. It talks about how he had a serious battle with the Erie County officials in Erie County, New York, and how he spent 18 years of his life incarcerated state prison, and then was found to be not guilty. He was exonerated, but the battle continues, and he's done a tremendous job of keeping the word out there, and so that he wasn't the only one. There's so many people who are, experiencing the criminal justice system from a Black perspective. In other words, it's not from a good perspective, right? And we also have a judge to be. He's an attorney and powerful presence. She's a county commissioner, a Susquehanna Township commissioner as well. And her name is Latasha T. Williams. She'll be speaking as well. And she is running for Commonwealth Pleas Judge here in Pennsylvania. And we sure hope she wins. She's a powerful presence in our community. So both of them will be bringing, remarks. They will be our featured keynote speakers. And then we will have, an open forum, and I'll be moderating that forum, as far as the questions at both of them, but also getting the audience involved. We're going to be at the Harrisburg University of Science and Technology. That's tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. It's all free. We hope that you'll come out, and we will do our best to also have it up on Facebook so that you can follow along if you can't come. So even if you're in New York City, Brazil, or someplace else, we want you to try to tune in and catch this lively discussion. And both of these people are very worthy. By the way, there was a tremendous poem. Yes, go ahead, Giselle.
I said I will tune in.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that. There was a gentleman by the name of Paul. I forget his name now. I wish I had the information in front of me. But I'll just say, what was his name? But anyhow, he's a master. He's an attorney, and he's also a tremendous speaker. And he was here on Wednesday evening, thanks to the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission, along with a number of other organizations. My wife was on the committee to help organize this thing. And they had a chief of police from some small city. I wasn't sure about who he was, never met him before. And then they had one of the top attorneys here in the state. She was on the panel. And then, of course, they had Ted Lassiter. Is it Ted Lassiter? But Lassiter is his last name. He is the executive director of the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. that was quite a forum. There's a lot of people showed up, and it was the main speaker's name is Paul. He did a piece. He wrote a book called Chokehold, but he also has a movie out that's called Chokehold. You may want to check him out. He was really thought provoking, and hats off to Joyce Davis, who was the moderator. She is the head of the World Affairs Council, and she did a bang up job. She's also an author who Ro knows really well because Ro and her went to church together, and also he was doing some book development kind of activities there at your church at one time. Yeah, so anyhow, good job all the way around. So don't sleep on tomorrow. Please come out. By the way, tomorrow afternoon from 2 to 6, we will have a pre-Mother's Day celebration, all free. It'll be held at the Colonial Park Mall, and we'll have all kinds of activities for mom. And we want you to come out and enjoy yourself. We decided to take it indoors. It was scheduled to be outdoors at 900 South Arlington Avenue, but after they had forecast a little bit of rain, we said, you know what, we're not going to put up with that. So we're going to be over at the Colonial Park Mall, right next to Boscov's, and it starts at 2 p.m., goes to 6 p.m. We're going to have all kinds of little vendors there, all kinds of games, kinds of things. Just a lot of fun. And my son will be supplying the music. He did a great job for us before. And then also our sponsors are Giant Foods, who's going to supply some food for us, as well as Aetna Insurance. They supplied a lot of the funding that will take place for, help this event along the way. So anyhow, that's all good stuff. We hope that you'll come out. Again, that's tomorrow, 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at the Colonial Park Mall, right next to Boscov's. Okay, we're going to be indoors in a nice venue. And hats off to, oh my goodness. Oh, I'm drawing a blank on the name. Diane. Okay. She owns this space out there at, Colonial Park Mall. And she literally is donating the space to us because, it's been a tremendous help in this community. And so anyhow, I'll make sure I get her name right and make sure that she gets her props before the weekend's up. That's for sure. By the way, just real quick, happy Mother's Day to everybody. Also on the 14th is my wife's birthday. And so she's having Mother's Day and her birthday at the same time. And we're going to see the Michael Jackson play. It's called MJ. And she actually saw it with a group of women from Harrisburg. And she said, oh, we got to go see this play. She said, it's really well done. So we will be in New York, Lazille. I'll come up on Sunday and, got our tickets and ready to roll. We're actually going to take the train up and give us time to just relax and lay back, not do all that crazy driving in New York and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. Whatever you do, honor your mothers, living or no longer with us spiritually, physically, but they're here spiritually. So honor your mother no matter what, okay? All right. So having said that, let's do this. I'm looking at the time. Brother Chris, can you give us, the other 2 videos that you had? We'll take one now and then do a little bit more poetry, then have the other video near the end. And the other 2 have just been outstanding. Here we go.
I pray for forgiveness. And I ask, please take me off the enemy's hit list. Do your business so I can go out and do mine and go out and witness. Every day I fall short of your glory. For instance, I rely on my own strength or I ignore yours, whichever fits best. Then I ask, renew my armor, Lord Jesus, so I can fight now. Because at the moment I'm not even fighting, I'm getting struck down. Bound and pressed around the corners of all of my failures, and I know you see right through the act I have in all of my behavior. Because I'm not fine, and I'm not alright. My daughter's kept me awake all night, and she's crying down the place, and it feels like she does it just for spite. Yeah, that's my real week. So when you see me stuck in a still sleep, it's not a disrespect, oh Lord, it's just that I'm still weak. So I'm stepping low to make up, and I'm not letting go like Jacob until you bless me and my iniquities have a breakup. Then where would death be? It would have left me for the depths of the sea, and there it best be while I tell you, Lord, the rest of my plea. May my blessings not be the things that I want, but things that I need. Clothes and shelter, the words that you speak so that I can feed. When you met me, I had salvation through my confessions. But now I keep making them choices that pull me out of your holy protection. Please break these slave chains of depression and bereavement. And be blunt, because this will do good for my achievement. It may be painful, and it may disable all of my street fronts, and sometimes I haste too quickly, so please, provide those spiritual speed bumps. I feel the redemption. A release from all the stress and tension. If there's sins I haven't confessed yet, Lord, please, just bring them to my attention. As for my bad habits, which I suppose I forgot to mention, I cannot write straight if all I've only got is a bent pen. So straighten it, because I suffer from spiritual back pain, and strengthen me for the time of the loud cry and the latter rain. The enlargement who oppose those who keep the fourth commandment is coming soon, but do not let my heart be alarmed yet, because I'm waiting and I'm watching, O Lord, for your unfetchable bright light. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable in thy sight.
Yeah. Where's you? Yeah. I picked up just a good piece. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I picked up the hint of it, like an, I hate to say accent, but you know, where do you think he was from?
I keep
Any thoughts?
thinking like the UK again.
Yeah.
But not necessarily somewhere else, but living in the UK.
Yeah,
I heard
I agree.
a little accent in there beyond UK too.
I did too, absolutely. That's why, yeah, you can be living somewhere, but definitely that's not where you were brought up, right? In fact, I remember thinking to myself, Lizelle, when she said that she's in a dialect or native tongue. I don't know if that resonated with you, Lizelle, when you heard him, if you thought he, you know, what did you think?
That he is from the UK. Yeah.
Just from the UK, okay, all right, yeah.
He could be, I believe he could be from another country, but grow up in the UK also. So you pick up the language.
And when that happens too, I mean, you can actually pick up multiple accents that way. So that's what I heard, both of them, from both one from Great Britain, of course, but also another one had to be in one of the African countries, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, Dr. Dan. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too. I thought he's probably from Africa, but you know, living in the UK now. When we visited, you know, the you know, Rome and places like that, we found a lot of Africans living in those, you know, those European countries, and it was interesting to see so many of our brothers and sisters, you know, there, and all of the issues that are going on there too. You know, we tend to forget there's a lot of isms going on over there as well. You know, a lot of battles, immigration and all that as well. So very interesting. Anyhow, let's go that round robin one more time. You know, Dan, did you have a piece you'd like to share? And then Lizelle? And
sure.
You did the second piece. Did you just do the piece?
This piece is a little. I mean, I'm working on it now, but I'll share a little bit with you.
Okay, can you hold on 1 second? Okay, just one quick second. Ro, did you do two pieces or one piece?
Just one.
You just did that one. You just did one. Okay, so you actually were first. Did you want to do another one at this time?
Oh, sure. I have one. My son is going to be 25 tomorrow, and last year I wrote him a poem, so I wrote him a one this year.
Okay.
And I don't still have a title, so it's just a poem for my son. When my head was turned, my little brown boy slipped through my hands like rings that are too big for my now thin fingers into manhood. Fingers that used to touch his baby face that looked up to me in wonder. He wondered about the world. His lips spawned millions of questions. His eyes traveled over his elders with the anticipation of being a grown boy. But he forgot it came with Black man struggles, finding his way, putting small, slender feet into big man shoes, growing in spurts and bountiful games with brown ball, sweaty gyms, and coaching masters, long waits for degrees, promotions, and gainful entry into his fullness came. There were those reminders given in small daily doses about life's constant talking, ticking clocks that on occasion beat us into submission of shortness. Grab tight to the world's edges, hold on to it with a master's grip. It's all so unstable at times, sliding around and losing its security in realities of yes, no's, and maybes. Time is a disparity that money never buys too much of. Use it with hordes of wisdom and pounds of good sense. Don't waste droplets of blood, sweat, and tears on useless things that will cause your mirror of old age to reflect regret. Find your place not amongst the stars, because they soon lose their illumination. Make way for blooming at the axis of a spinning universe. This time is your time. Grab it by the edges and hold on.
Nice. Very good. Yeah. Thank you.
Very
This
nice.
time is yours. Good about it. Edges. I like that. Yeah. Other comments at all?
Very
Okay.
nice. You hear
Thank
a lot of
you.
metaphors. You have metaphors and stuff in it, like contrasts and, you know, how she explained and how she put across the words. It
Mhm.
have you actually feeling you're part of it, what she is saying. Yeah,
All right.
nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask Brother Dan if he will now give us a piece and followed by Lazille. Okay, Lazille.
Okay, well, like I said, this is a piece I'm working on now, so I'll share some of it with you. It just happens to be about criminal justice reform, and I just call it Criminal Justice Reform for Wrongful Convictions. Frequently, when so-called justice occurs, the wrong persons will end up behind bars. Actions must be taken on this matter to discontinue what's going too far. The whole problem has one very true source: a botched system of enforcing the law. All elements therein need lots of work, with the extent of distrust to start its thaw. In order to end wrongful convictions, a new system must be put into place, one where incompetence, willful or not, gets consequences that hit in the face. First, there are those lackluster detectives from police forces in many places that must be dismissed from the profession, thus relieving it of all disgraces. Unscrupulous prosecutors are next. These types of attorneys are a real pain. Disbarment is what these persons deserve. May their lives be rightly flushed down the drain. So that's where I am at this point. But I'm just hopefully I'll finish this a little bit later, and maybe I'll be able to give the whole thing next week.
Excellent. Good stuff, though.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. Good stuff. Appreciate it. Lazille.
Yes,
You'd like to do a piece for us?
yes. It's another mother's, another mother poem in dialect. It's called My Mother, My Hero. But this is actually true of her. This is a true thing of her. Right. My mother, the Queen Jewel, I remembered her stroke didn't stop her. She took care of me and my brothers. One hand did it all. It washed, it cooked, it ironed. Single parent, single life, a single heart. No tears she shed as she rests her head. Where the food come from, where the clothes come from, she got helped My father came and left. My mother was not his. He belonged to someone else. I remember. Mother, the hurt was there, but she kept quiet and took care of us. She packed up our lunch and our school bags. I saw her before she died. I held her hand and said, I will be fine. She took her last breath and now she's gone. My heart aches till now because we belong. That's it.
Wow. You said that's a true piece, right? Yeah. What's your mother's first name?
Edwina.
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 Okay.
Yeah. Edwina Warner Powder.
Okay. Edwina Warner Powder. Ashe. Yes, indeed. Ashe. Yeah. And to all the mothers who are no longer with us physically, I say Ashe to you and to all of you who experienced the loss of mother, but realize that mother poured so much into us, right? Meant so much to us. Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful. Wonderful. Again, I just want to remind people that we're on every Friday night from 7 to 9, right here on The Voice, 17104 Harrisburg. And Brother Chris Thomas is the founder and chief engineer for this station and does a bang of job for us. Really appreciate the videos that we're on this evening. And, there you go. There's our information there. There's my wife standing next to me there. And, we really enjoy bringing this broadcast to you. And the poets that come on every week, from Mazille to, Roe to Dr. Dan. We have Wendy who comes on as she possibly can. And Wendy has a show that comes on Monday nights, by the way, from 6 to 7 right here on The Voice. And also, we do have a channel. If you haven't caught it, the channel is the Writers WordShop channel. And also, we have the Life Steam channel, by the way. And we put our, different products up there, and you can see this program and other programs. And then you see it. You can go to online at voicetv.org. Online at voicetv.org. And you can pick up the various programs that are out there and go to their channel and watch programs that are archived, so to speak. And you can watch them 24/7. Yes, indeed. So this is good stuff. Thank you, Brother Chris. So anyhow, listen, let me ask Brother Chris if he'll do one more video for tonight. I think we have one more in the can. If we do, then we'll show. There we go. Okay. Let's deal with that, and then we'll wrap it up for this evening.
Is it worth it? Is it worth losing you over a few moments of pleasure? I ask myself. This question runs through my mind every time I kindly approach another woman. Insert another woman. See, I'm married. Well, I only wear this ring when I'm home because my wife, see, she's everything. She's great, cooks, cleans, but physically I'm a sex fiend and she's boring. Is it worth it? Is it worth losing you over a few moments of pleasure? I ask myself. Temptation is a real thing, it's a serious thing. And if you love somebody, make sure that you respect them as well, because a lifetime of happiness is worth well more than a few seconds of pleasure. What's up, guys? If you don't know already, I have an ebook.
All right. Short, to the point, but also poignant. It speaks to a lot of people. A lot of men in particular, right? It's just something about it. They just throw it all away. And we have so many people, doesn't matter how rich they are, how blessed they are, whatever, willing to throw it away. for that, moment of pleasure. Isn't that something? That's pretty powerful. Thank you. And as we honor, like I said, we move to this holiday season, let's keep in mind that, we gotta stop playing roles and know that we're, dealing with people, and people's lives are very precious. And we can make an impression on people by the things we do or don't do, the kind of respect we show or don't show. We make impressions on folks that can be everlasting, can be life changing, and we should not be the ones leading anybody down to issues of ruin, issues of mental illness, all that kind of stuff. By the way, this month is Mental Illness Month, for one I understand. Mental Health Month, not mental illness, Mental Health Month. And make sure you're taking care of your own mental health. Writing is a great release for that, by the way. I think all of us on here use writing as a way of speaking our minds, being creative, but also of purging. We get something out. What did you get out when you are allowing yourself to write? What kind of healthcare, self-help does writing provide for you?
To me, it helps me because this was like an avenue out for me when I was going through my depression, my sadness, my emotions. Writing was a way of healing for me, of a way of releasing, a way of talking out what I'm experiencing. So that's what it did for me.
Fantastic. Ro, same question. How does writing play into your self-help, your self-care?
Same thing. I think it gives me an outlet for just thoughts I have, and gives me a place to express them.
Yeah. Okay. To the point. Dr. Dan, ask you the same question.
Well, for me, it's just simply, I don't know, I just call it a release, an avenue where I can, at least for a little while, forget about some things that I have on my mind and just channel the energy in a different direction.
Okay. Redirect that energy. That's good. So all three answers, absolutely. Yeah, for me, writing is very, very, relaxing, but also taxing. When I take on an article, whatever, I really try to pour my, self into it. At the same time, I find a sense of accomplishment. I find a sense of yeah, I needed to say that. I'm glad I said that, whatever. But at the same time, it's work too. So I enjoy it when I'm done, but I struggle when I'm doing it because I want to say the right word. I want to use the right word. I want to make sure that I'm clear in my thinking, that I'm making sense in my writing, that kind of thing. So on one hand, it's a challenge, but on the other hand, it's a sense of satisfaction because I was able to do it. And yeah, it's very therapeutic for me as well. Being able to say the things I want to say and say it in such a way that I'm not trying to tear something down or whatever. Just really trying to do my thing. Yeah. So anyhow, it's good. So I'm asking folks out there who are who are involved in the process of writing and think that maybe you are a writer, you're not. I'm asking you to consider, why do you write, and how does writing play into your overall self well-being? That's what it's all about. It's about tapping into self. It's hard to write and not have a piece of yourself be on that page. Does that make sense to everybody? When you write, do you have a piece of yourself on that page? Yay, no?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it does. I think that more so for me, not necessarily with poetry too, but my novellas and my novels are all like from childhood stories of my parents. So they're definitely bits and pieces of me left on the page.
All right, good stuff. All right. And Lizelle, how about yourself?
Some of my writing is from experience, and some is like basically like I will see something, or you might be going through something and you write about it.
Yeah.
I would say mostly is going through something, and you write. You know, I normally write on it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I hear that in your writings. Wrote the same thing with you. Hear it in your writings for sure. You bring a piece of yourself to the page. And Dan, how about yourself? Do you feel the same way?
In some cases, yes. That would be because some of the pieces are based on life experiences, and the others, I guess, could be based on something I came across of interest, and I figured I could just use my own style to put it to verse somehow.
Yeah. A lot of my writing, I wouldn't call it political, but I would call it social justice writing. And I find that a lot of times I am speaking about something I feel, strongly about. And so my social justice writing is a part of my inner thinking and the thoughts, my resolve to be a revolutionary, but at the same time not to be a builder up. A lot of people want to revolutionize by tearing everything down that they think is, not needed or necessary or intrusive. I want to be a builder up. I'm in search of the beloved community like Dr. King was. At the same time, I don't want to be so, mellow or, get along. Was it get along to? How's it? Get in to get along. I forget how I said, but anyhow, you want to be real. You want to be real. You want to tell it like it is. I really appreciate it, Mr. Lassiter, who was the executive director of the Pennsylvania Human Relations Commission. He gave remarks, his opening remarks at the conference on Wednesday night. Was just so powerful. I wish that it was taped and put on PCN, the Pennsylvania Cable Network. So if you get a chance to check out PCN, catch this. Just listen to his words. It was very thought-provoking, militant, and at the same time just scholarly. Very well said. Everybody did an excellent job, but he was really, really good. So that's kind of like where I want to be. I want to be able to say it well, and at the same time say it with power. So, one of the things we did at the State Museum last month, we had a wonderful showcase. And Ro was one of our judges. My wife was one of the judges, and also the poet Tiger Rose was there, and he was a judge as well. And we said at the end of the day, asked everybody to say on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, right on. And we said that, meaning WRITE, right on. And that was a tribute to Chucky Pitts, who was one of our frequent flyers here at the Writers' WordShop years ago. Brother Pitts is now since passed on, part of the ancestors, but he used to say that right on. And I always thought it was so cool. So whatever you do, we're going to break camp tonight. Stay tuned with the Writers' WordShop. We have some things coming up. I mentioned the retreat down at Elizabethtown College. I mentioned Juneteenth is coming up. The International Storytelling Festival is coming up. Kwanzaa is coming up. Also our holiday celebration. And don't forget tomorrow. And tomorrow we have a wonderful array of things happening for mothers, and also a wonderful thought-provoking panel that starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. And almost everything we do is free. And so I hope that you will, take advantage of us, and we'll try to keep it on Facebook as much as possible. In 2024, April, we're going to sponsor a major conference, and this conference will be a 2-dayer in the sense that we're going to have a conference on a Friday, and then, that Friday evening we'll have the award ceremony, and then we're going to have the presentations on that Saturday. And we've already signed the contracts. We are ready to go. We're just raising funds, and we hope to have a major keynote speaker, someone like a Nikki Giovanni, someone like that, to come in and bring the house down. In fact, I like to Kwame Alexander as well. He's him and Nikki do a lot of work together, and so he's hot. Right now, by the way, Kwame Alexander, like I said, used to stop in the Writers' WordShop. He now has one of his books turned into a movie called Crossover. It's actually not a movie, but a series on, I think it's on, is it on Netflix? I think it's on Netflix, one of them. But I believe it's on Netflix. But it's called Crossover. And that was written by Kwame Alexander. So hats off to him. Hard work. He's been at it for a long time. He's doing good stuff. Listen, thank you guys for coming on again tonight. always enjoy having you. I hope that we'll get together again next Friday, if that's okay. And let's have another, fun night of writing and reading and talking about writing. And whatever you do, write on. Last words, anybody?
Have a good night.
It's fun.
Happy
All right.
Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
All right.
Okay.
Congratulations one more time to Ro Brady for that wonderful directorial, job she did in Care Story. Very, very well done. God bless everybody. See you next time.
All right,
Okay.
bye.
So long now.
Bye.